Perfect. The meeting is now being recorded and it's 1 o'clock, so let's get going. Firstly, I have a small bit of housekeeping that's quite a pleasure to announce. We have a new member of the KPP program joining us today, and that is Shannon Hawthorne, who just signed the contract and joined the KPP program this morning. So welcome, Shannon. Hopefully everyone gets an opportunity to give a big shout out. I am going to just make sure that everyone can hear me. I'm going to ask, because just from past experience, if you are going to be listening on speaker, please put yourself on mute. Okay? So that applies to everyone. Now, one of the things that we're going to be talking about today is we have a lot of you guys have been using AdminPack, and we spent a lot of money, developing it for V21. What our latest initiative is to make it simpler so that it's one installable, one executable that you can just drop on a customer's desktop, run it locally on yours, whichever. And as KPPs and staff, all of you guys get it for free. So I wanted to share with you first what we've done so far so you can kind of know how it's going to look. So firstly, the AdminPack is going to be a single executable, okay? You double click on it, type in your credentials, log in, okay? And then you're going to get one screen here, and then you select the executables from here. Okay, there's a bit of licensing migration taking place that we've got to get everything under one, but no more kind of cobbling together about a dozen or 15 different applications all in one. Almost all of the applications will be under one executable, and you can just leave it wherever you want, run it as needed, and you've got quick and easy access to it. It'll be easier for us to update it. It will be easier for you guys to use both locally and in the field. And what we're going to do today, and we'll give you more updates as we go with the progress of this, but I hope to have this out and available to all the KPPs as well as the subscribers by the end of next week. Okay, if there's any delays, I'll let everyone know. So the two features of this, since we've got three here, Broken Activity Hunter, Nuke Entities, and Safe Contact User Deleter, I wanted to cover the last two today. The Safe Contact User Deleter is actually what we affectionately call SCUD, is actually one of those tools that is far more than most people realize. So the first thing that you do is you launch this tool, you'll see the connect option. Now, obviously, this is useful if you're connecting to either a local instance or you want to, connect to an SQL instance across the network. Okay, but this connection allows you to determine which SQL instance you're going to connect to. In this case, we're going to connect to my local desktop, okay? The moment that's done, then you'll have a drop-down list that's available, okay? And I'm going to select Demo 2018. Now, for this purposes, you'll notice that the SA password, which is supposed to be super encrypted, okay? No one can hack it, is displayed right here. And for ease of use, you can copy it to the clipboard. So that's the first thing that it does, is it services and decrypts the SA password, okay? So please note that. The second thing here, you get database statistics here, okay? So you get all of the number of activities, companies, contacts, so on and so forth. So you get these immediate, and it will show you the database path that you can open, okay? The final one is the users. Now, the inspiration for this is that as a company like ours, we often will have, employees come and go. And, we want to remove them from the user list, but we don't want to blow up the history. We don't want to, have them, the history wiped out because we've wiped out, we've used the built-in ACT tool, okay, to delete a user, which doesn't really give us a lot of options other than reassigning or just wiping out. So what this does is it allows you outside of the ACT UI, okay, to manage users, okay? So imagine if you're in an environment where someone quickly asks you to disable a user, change their password, you can now manage the entire user list right here okay, disable users, change their password, change their security roles, all outside of the Act UI and even the Act database. So this is a very, very powerful admin tool that I think a lot of people really, really underestimate, okay? And then what's really cool is outside of the Act UI, you can also create a user. So if I wanted to create a user here, and I'm going to say, okay, I was going to go with Betty Browser, which I'm pretty sure is in there. Stop it. Okay, and I'm going to just say, oh, nice. Okay, so let's get this up again. Connect. Okay, demo user, and I'm going to create new user. Okay, Lubs. Okay. As an administrator, user ID, generate one, yes. Boom. Now that user is in the database, and here he is. Okay, so imagine if you're in a hosted environment, imagine if you're working with a number of databases on a particular site. Now you can easily manage all of the users, creating, deleting, demoting, whichever, okay, including changing the password outside of the Act UI. Okay, export list to Excel pretty much does what you would expect it to do. And here's the information that you get. Okay, so you get the contact GUID, my record, you get all the usernames, contact names, security role, status, and then password indicating whether or not it's set or blank. Okay, now the real purpose of this program is this little function down here, delete user without breaking history. So it doesn't matter what you've got set here because this is a totally independent feature here. So now you launch this, and now I am going to say, Lubs, okay, I've got the option to reassign everything, okay, to another user, including private records, reassign, export to Excel, then reassign, delete, whichever, okay. I can also leave notes and histories alone and reassign everything else, and then let me choose and then assign accordingly, okay. So I'm just going to leave that here. I'm actually not going to select Lubs because he doesn't have any history. Okay, let's try that. And now you've got the calculate changes. Okay, so this is still a little bit buggy here. Let me just try launching this again. Okay, and I'm going to do here. And let's see what happens. It blows up. Okay. So I will be presenting this back to Greg, but I used this a fair bit on the weekend, and it was not treating me this way. So let me try it again. This might be due to the launcher. Okay, connect. Okay, I'm going to select Chris Huffman. No, I'm not going to select Chris Huffman, Ernst Anderson. And I'm going to leave notes in history and then change. Okay, so it's blowing up on me. Okay, so what it would normally do is it would reassign everything, and then you would see a progress meter going across here, and then it would delete the user and leave the contact intact, okay, and your history would not be affected. Not sure why it's blowing up on this, but obviously some recent changes have made this a little unstable. Okay, but as I said, we're completing the progress over the next week. We've had a small delay for anyone that isn't aware. You know, this is one of Greg Ferber's tools, and Greg and his wife had a baby yesterday. So I'm not sure how responsive he's going to be over the next couple of days, but we've been kind of working without him on this. So I expect we'll hear back from him next week and get more updates from him. But before I go on to the next application, I just wanted to pause and see if there was any questions.
So yeah, I have one. This is a much more granular when a user leaves and you want to reassign. So it looks like you could reassign activities to one person, opportunities to another. Is that, am I seeing that right? Or am I seeing what I want to see?
Well, I think you generally do, but in this case, it's not betraying you.
Okay, this is awesome.
Okay. So, like this, in my opinion, this is one of those tools that all ACT consultants should have. Okay, because it's many tools in one. And this does, the password resetters. This does the export to Excel. It does the reassigns. It does the, almost complete user management outside of ACT. All of those things in one tool. So, this, I think, the more people use this, the more people will realize just how powerful this is. Okay. So if there are no other questions, I'm going to go on to the next one. Okay, the other one has been around for a lot longer, and that is Nuke entities. And the reason I thought of bringing this up this week is because there is hardly a week that goes by where someone won't ask a question on ActNation, CCRMS, or something that can be answered by Nuke entities. Okay, and entity Nuke or Nuke entities, whichever. Okay, but this is again, it's got the ability to set which instance you're going to connect to. So I can connect across the network, or I can connect locally. But the moment I do, okay, I've got the ability to select here. Now watch what happens when I connect to the instance and then select the database. So the first thing is delete all activities. This obviously does not require much explanation. If you're dealing with a database that was, say, imported from Outlook and has a gazillion activities, a lot of which are bogus based on birthday repetitions, whichever, you can use this utility again outside of ACT, okay, and detonate all of the activities. This one is a little bit more precise, where you can say set a specific user and wipe them out. Okay. The next one is delete all attachments. Obviously deleting all attachments, this does a little bit more thoroughly than just wiping out the attachment directory. Here's something that is a really, really nice thing. Delete all is deleted activities. Okay, so you delete activities, but it's still residing there and potentially clogging up your calendar. Okay, and you can now go in, and I think we can all agree that this is a pretty useless part of the history in the calendar, and you can delete these. Okay, all at once. Another big thing for cleaning up the calendar, because we all know that if you get a really, really old calendar that hasn't had any kind of database maintenance at all, that calendar can become increasingly unresponsive. This allows you to go in and clear all or delete all cleared activities in one shot. Okay, very powerful. Delete all library documents. That doesn't really require a whole lot of explanation, but here is one that I find is probably the most requested. Delete all recurring activities and delete all recurring activities for a specific user. I find that a lot of times these things can get out of control, especially if they have a start date that's set too far back, and you end up with all of these activities, and instead of clicking on, delete, 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 so that, it keeps going to the next one, or repeating, changing the start date on 100 of these things, you can delete them all at once. Okay, so that's a pretty big tool, and obviously, like a few of these options, you've got the ability to specify a user for that function. Now, here you see delete all secondary contacts and promote all secondary contacts. We actually have separate standalone applications that work to do just these things, and these two functions are built in as part of Nuke entities. Okay, so if you're ever in a case where you need to clean up your database, you can either purge or promote secondary contacts in one node. Okay, you also have the ability to delete all notes, delete all histories. Okay, these are fairly standard, and obviously you're cutting with a fairly dull knife with these things. However, if something that Lubs has had to go in and do a fair bit of is go in and delete, say, a lot of Swift Page marketing history, go in, delete a lot of Acti marketing history, whichever. You can now go in, select a particular type of history and wipe it out from the database. Okay. So for instance, if we had, a ton of personal activities, things like that, that might be something that we would want to wipe out and clean up the history with. Okay. This one I see people asking about quite a bit. Okay. Here's another one that the tool gets sharper and sharper, where you can actually search for a history with a particular value in it and then delete that. Okay. So in that case, you're getting more and more precise with your targeting. Okay. Delete all histories for a specific user. Delete all groups. Delete all companies. Delete all opportunities. Reset phone formatting to US. Now, Lubs, are you on the call?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever used this feature? Maybe you want to explain it a little bit. I haven't used it. I understand what it means, but maybe you can explain where the use case would come up with this.
I have not used that, but my guess would be actually I'd like something new. It must. So I haven't even seen that in Nuke Entity or Entity Nuker for a while. So it must be something new that Greg had added. But yeah, my guess would be that it takes any of the phone numbers and puts them into US formatting with the 333 or 334 formatting.
Mm-hmm.
Since, as we know, the United States rules over Canada, so that's probably why they have that there.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. I'm so glad I called on you. Okay. The next one is clear all alarms for a specific user. This is another one I see online that's requested, where literally a person cannot log into their database because they're slammed with 1,000 different alarms. You can actually go in and clear all the alarms at once, not clearing the activities, but wiping out the alarms for them and allowing you to get back into the database on account of this. This is probably this is one of the new ones where you're actually selecting. There's nothing here because there's no custom entity. Okay, there's no custom table. I had this question asked of me on ActNation, I think not much more than a week ago, where someone was saying that they could not delete a custom table with the native table utility. And this is another one where you can go in, target a specific table, and just wipe it out from the database. Okay. Delete all, this is new. I haven't seen this one before. Delete all static contacts in a specific group. So in this case, you can go in, select your group, and it's going to remove all the contacts from from any of the groups that you select that are not dynamically assigned. Okay, so if you are heavily reliant on, the dynamic components of a group, this could be a nice way of cleaning up. This one I haven't seen before, so I think this one is a recent addition. Okay.
I wonder.
But I think go ahead.
Ken, that says delete. I'm not sure if that removes them from the group or actually deletes the contact. That might actually delete the contact, not just remove it from the group. You might need to get some clarification from Greg on that.
I'm pretty sure that would be a pretty dangerous tool because you actually don't know the contacts. Okay, so I'm going to say delete all static contacts in a specific group. I doubt very, very much that means it's going to delete the contacts, but delete them in a group. Okay, but it's certainly something worth bringing up. Yes, Amanda.
Yeah. This is a bit of a backtrack, but that feature with the resetting of the phone number tends to be useful when users buy a database from another company, and they're working in a different format, and they need to actually reset everything to something uniform in the phone field.
And I actually see people asking about this all the time because Act has never had that feature supported natively. So, and it's funny because Nuke entities that really isn't a Nuke function any more than promoting secondary contacts, but it's always been something that I've liked in it. Okay. Lubs, I think you may have just missed this one, but I think this one has actually been around for a while.
Okay.
Okay. But yeah, it is, it's a pretty powerful tool. So that pretty much brings me to the end of what I wanted to demonstrate today. I'm always trying to keep it under 30 minutes. But those are the two tools. I wanted to also show you guys the direction we're going with AdminPack, where it's going to be a lot easier to manage. Any people on this call that are on the support team are going to be able to enjoy dropping one single file in there and having this, large toolbox of tools that, you've got access to with just, entering in your passcode, your account credentials. And Shannon, you'll be happy to hear as a new member that you get AdminPack free of charge. I think she's quietly.
She's speechless. She's speechless.
There she is. Yay! Yay! her first perk of membership. Okay. So I'll open the floor to any questions, but if there are none, I'm also happy to give you guys back your afternoon early. But let's see if there's any questions on either Nuke Entity, SCUD, or the AdminPack launcher.
Yeah, I have one, and it's our tool, and we can drop it on a customer's machine and then just register it. There's no other licensing that we have to be concerned with selling to the customer? Okay. Nope.
You can leave it there, and it's of no use to them. Obviously, I'm going to recommend that you delete it.
Okay. Yeah.
But even like I remember early in my career, I had a Sage technician on my desktop, and he had the MySecret tool, the one that decrypts the SA password, and he dropped it into the recycle bin and then disconnected. And I thought, oh, okay, there you go. And I immediately took it back out again and had access to it forever. I saw what he typed in, so for me I had immediate access to it. But this is useless to anyone that doesn't have the combination. Okay. Now, I do want to, sorry, I'm going to get back to you in a second, Steve. I do want to mention that, if you're talking to other ACCs about this and they're interested in buying it and they go to our website and they don't see it, it's because they have to log in first. You actually have to be a registered KQC reseller, not a KPP necessarily, but a registered KPP reseller in order to buy it, because SwiftPage demanded that we hide it. So it's exclusively to login users only. The moment you log in and go to our shopping cart and type admin, you'll see it. Right now, without logging in, you won't. Okay, so it's limited to credentialed users only, because SwiftPage maintains that if this is open in the public and anyone can buy it, it compromises their SOC 2 compliance. I don't know if that's crap, but it doesn't cost us anything to oblige. Okay, back to you, Steve.
Back to the reset phone formats. To US, that would be great if it was just US, but this whole thing is pretty screwy. I had a guy with a whole bunch of international countries and dialing codes. This isn't a solution to that, is it?
No, and what Steve brings up is a very, very good point. Anytime that you're applying changes to the entire database, you have to expect that there's going to be some repercussions. Okay, like we actually in our shopping cart, anytime we're talking about things like batch update or anything along those lines that make mass changes, we advise the people to back up their database, because they can't always anticipate the collateral damage to making mass updates. So if you changed your phone formats on certain companies to free format because you wanted to support pick UPS, okay, as an actual phone number, which is an actual phone number, but obviously doesn't contain any numbers, then resetting that could very well compromise it if it's fixed to just numeric characters. So just be mindful. Anything along those lines, a lot of these things are pretty blunt instruments and can cause a lot of damage. So the moral of the story is, don't learn on customers' computers. Okay, so use the demo database, test, retest, learn, and you'll get better at it. You'll know how to use it. Now, I do want to show everyone here on this screen stp.keystroke.ca. Actually, I think it's Act for Work. Hold on. Okay, AdminPack. So again, FTP:// There was a time when you only had to enter it in once. Now it isn't. ftp.actforwork.com. You click on admin tools, and here's all the tools. You can use your existing credentials, but when you take a look at this and all the different updated applications and all the different folders, you can see how there's a fairly big need to assemble them into one launcher. Okay, so this was our objective, but if you want to get SCUD or any of the specific utilities, here's like the V21 updates. You can get the latest versions of all of them. Any of the previous ones, okay, will work on 20 or earlier. But obviously with the additional SA encryption and some of the other .NET changes they made, we had to update all the tools, and here's where the latest updates are. Okay? Any questions? Yep.
The root directory of this FTP directory, how big is it?
I'm sorry, I didn't make out what you said.
All right, root directory of this FTP site, well, how big is it? Like 5
how big is the how big is the FTP site, or how big is the file?
Root directory. How many files in root directory of this site?
I'm having trouble making out what you're saying. Could you email me after the?
He's asking about in the root directory.
Right. How many is there?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
How many?
I have 5.
40, 30?
I have 5.
Okay, you would have had 5 if you went to ftp.keystroke.ca. They're different sites. Okay? So go here, that's what you'd get.
Yeah,
okay?
Right.
So they're different sites for different purposes, and we were trying to assemble them all, but there's just too many backlinks to do it, so we've just kept them separate for now.
Right, I see that. Okay, I got it.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, well, if there's no other questions, I'm going to let everyone get back onto their day. But again, I hope everyone joins me in welcoming Shannon to the team. Great to have you aboard, Shannon. And I see a bunch of other new members here as well. Have a great day. Hope you get a chance to use some of these tools. Thank you very much, everyone. Take care.
Go Browns.
No.